Hello and welcome to the Brian Hornback Experience. It's episode 115. This is going to be the month of December catch up. It's Christmas month. It's a week before Christmas when this is being recorded. And so the Brian Hornback Experience is just going to kind of catch up. The last time we had something was just before Thanksgiving. And that was when we interviewed Constance Every. She came in fourth in the governor election for the state of Tennessee back on November, the first Tuesday in November. Anyway, a lot of things have happened. And so let's get you caught up. And then let's get to Christmas. And then let's get to a regular schedule. December started out right after Thanksgiving. Things got kind of crazy. The school board, they've had a new superintendent, Dr. John Ryswick, had a couple of issues that were controversial. They had what I call an outsourcing of custodial services. After my blog post on brianhornback.com, the superintendent and school board said it was not an outsourcing of custodial. It was what they were calling it was a supplemental custodial service. It was only going to affect Farragut, Hardin Valley and Karn schools, 11 schools. It was going to provide 30 plus custodians. They were only going to work after hours. It was what I call a no bid contract because they didn't put it out to bid. They were piggybacking on a Maryville City Schools contract with a Knoxville company called Duncan and Sons. Lots of questions, rightly so. The evening that my blog post went up, the superintendent through communication to the school board, which by the way, I haven't challenged it yet, but I asked the school spokesperson, Carly Harrington, for the communication that the superintendent shared with the school board. I still haven't received that yet. That should be because it's being shared with the entire body. That should be shared with any media that request it. And I have experience from when I was on the school board. Former superintendent that was the superintendent when I was on the school board was sharing a diary with the school board. That was exposed. That was then made. There was a challenge, and that communication was made public through a request of the Knoxville News Sentinel. I think after the first year, I'm going to really challenge it. But I will say that through the means that I have available, I know what the superintendent said to the board. And he said that he made the decision, and it just so happened to be the night that I put the blog post up about it, that he was withdrawing it for a month. He's going to bring it back in January, so we'll have something new to talk about in January about this custodial contract. And so we'll live to fight another day on that. Here's the issues I have. Instead of spending $1.6 million over 6 months to clean 11 schools, how about taking that 1.6 million and hiring custodians, 34 custodians across the school district? How about taking that money and investing in your own people? Yes, finally, at the school board workshop, they finally put out a chart or data that shows where all the vacancies are. Guess what? On their Knox County Schools website, they only have one vacancy for a custodian. They say, well, we don't have that one position because we hire everybody. Look, anybody who's looking for a job as a custodian is going to go to that one website. They're going to see one vacancy. They're not going to spend the time to apply for it, find out that it's for a school on the other side of town. And so you need to identify on your website where the positions are, so that if there's people in that community they can apply. Again, if the superintendent would call me, I'd be happy to meet with him. I'd be happy. We've met before. I asked to meet with him when he applied for the job. We sat down at Ham and Goodies in West Knoxville just before he was named a finalist. We got to know each other. Again, I'm always willing to give my advice or my constructive criticism to those issues, but nobody's asked. But anyway, lots of stuff on the custodial contract. Again, if I'm working at a school on the other side of the county and I'm seeing that Carter, Hardin Valley, and Carnes are going to be super clean, then hey, I'm going to be offended. Now, I live in the West Knoxville area, have since 1992. I appreciate it, but at the same time, we got to treat everybody the same, in my opinion. The school district, all the schools the same. So anyway, the other issue I have is you're going to have Duncan and Sons come in, and you're going to have them provide custodial after hours. I need to know what kind of background check Duncan Sons goes through. I need to know if those custodians are going through the background check, if they're going through the drug testing. I need to know that, because I need to know who's going to be in our schools, even if it's after hours. Because even after hours, there are students, particularly in middle school and high school, that are using those facilities after hours. And so I, as a citizen, as a concerned taxpayer, need to know that those people are legit and that we don't have people who are not supposed to be around our children. Secondarily, the land in West Knoxville that was bought in August for the new Southwest Knox County Elementary School. You got a couple of guys that back a couple of years ago bought about 300 acres. The school district decided in the last month of several county commissioners' terms and several school board members' terms, they decided to buy a piece of property right smack dab in the middle of the 300, and they bought 30 acres at $100,000 an acre, $3 million. Now, the reason that they bought 30 acres was because they said they needed to, Susan Horn, the school board member for the area, said, we need to build a driveway to the school. They're not going to build a driveway. According to the sale contract, they're going to build a road equivalent to up to Knox County code. Guess what? The property's not in Knox County. Well, it is in Knox County, but it's in Knox County, but it's also in the town of Farragut. So guess what? The road's got to be built to the town of Farragut standards. So not only is it going to be 2 lanes in and out with the turn lane in the center, but it's going to have sidewalks. It's going to have a bike lane. It's going to be lighted. So you're looking at anywhere from, if it were Knox County coded road, it would be anywhere from from 1.5 to $2 million. Probably with the bike lanes, the sidewalks, the lights, you're probably looking at close to $3 million. Could be close to $4 million. That's in addition to the cost of building the school, and so we haven't even gotten started on that yet. So in December they tried to throw in an amended contract to talk about the road. Also, the sellers get to name the school. What? Secondarily, if this amended contract is approved, Knox County is going to pay the sellers, 2 brothers, the Scott brothers, Tim and Todd. They're going to pay them $15,000 a month until the road is completed, up until September of 2024. And then after September 2024, if the road's not completed, then they're going to pay them $30,000 a month. Do what? Anyway, obviously the brothers have plans for the property on both sides of the school. Obviously, I'm sure they're going to try to build some type of either multiple, obviously housing, probably some retail. The problem in and of itself, let's just take all the crap that Susan Horn and the school board and the county commission of August of 2024 approved. Let's take all the what I just said away. The very students that they want to serve, which are the students that come along North Shore, what we call South North Shore, which is North Shore from Pillsbury Parkway all the way to Loudoun County line, all that along Choteau, Martell, all those students that you want to serve with this school, guess what, you can get to it. Because one, it's a one-lane underpass tunnel that a school bus can't get under. And then two, if you just going to bypass the tunnel, which the railroad has to give you permission if you're going to widen the tunnel, and God knows how much that's going to cost. Then the other way to get there is to run a road or across the railroad track off Martell. Railroad's not going to give you permission for that either. And even if they did give you permission for that, in that section of the rail, there's times when a train will stop and has to wait for another train to pass. So the kids could be sitting there for 30 minutes, an hour, waiting for the trains to pass before they could get across it. Again, it's a bad deal. My understanding is quite possibly the former operations director of Knox County Schools, and quite possibly the guy that was over the facilities construction, who have since left the school district, were the ones that kind of convinced Susan Horn that this was a good thing. It's a bad thing, okay? So somehow, some way, Knox County just needs to get out of this deal and move on down the road and go find some other land that makes more sense. That's all I'm going to say about that. That'll be coming back up in January as well. Susan Horn, the one that brought us the great property, she wanted to close to the media and to the public the agenda setting meetings. The agenda setting meetings are between the school board chair and the superintendent of schools. What they do is they sit down before they set the agenda for the board meetings, and the superintendent says, here's what we want to do, da-da-da-da-da. They talk about the items, and then the school board chair agrees to put it on the agenda. If a school board member asks for an item, like Susan Horn asked for this item to be put on the agenda, typically the school board chair will put it on the agenda. All great, hunky-dory, right? But anyway, it's always been noticed. It's always been open to the public. One time since Christy has been chair, she wasn't able to make the meeting, so they had to then reschedule 48 hours because it's open to the public, so you got to give 48 hours notice. My understanding is the media has never shown up. I've never shown up, and I'm quasi-media. But there have been some folks who are watch the school board, Lance McCall and his group, and I can't remember the name of the group. They've been coming, but Susan Horn wanted to close it to the public because she said she was concerned that items would get discussed before board members were informed. Guess what? That's called the public process, Susan. You've been on the school board for about 6 years. Your friend, your cousin-in-law, is in the legislature. Local governmental bodies have always been under the Sunshine Law, thanks to the legislature. So guess what? That's the price you pay. It's like Susan wants the board to deliberate before the public's involved. Guess what? It's the public dollars. And maybe if folks like me and folks like the media had not allowed that real estate contract to slide in under the radar back in August and really started looking at it, then guess what? Maybe Knox County wouldn't have been screwed, wouldn't be screwed right now in trying to get out of a real estate contract that is going to cost us $1 blue million to build a school. So anyway, thankfully, Betsy Henderson rightfully voted to not support Susan Horn's idea, so it failed. There was 3 of Susan Horn, Steve Triplett, the new guy from Mountain Halls, and Mike McMillan, former history teacher who had to retire before Jim McIntyre terminated his employment. He's been on the school board about 10 years now. The 3 of them voted for it. Betsy Henderson voted no. Good job, Betsy, vice chair. And then Christy passed. So joining in the no votes was Dr. Butler, Jennifer Owen, and Catherine Bike, and then Betsy Henderson. That was 4. Daniel Watson had passed, and before the vote was, when you pass, they come back to you and ask, does the pass wish to vote? So Daniel Watson voted no, so that allowed that idea to get killed. Now, I've heard a rumor that a lot of this kind of transpired because the executive director of the Tennessee School Boards Association, which I was on the board of directors for the East District for about 2 years, back in 2002 to 2004. Supposedly, Tammy Grissom has said that we're the only school district in the state that has the agenda setting meeting open to the public. Guess what? That means that we're the only one that's probably doing it right, in my opinion. But anyway, that's beside the point. I think that all the agenda setting meetings should be open to the public. I think anytime you're discussing items that are going to potentially spend taxpayer dollars, that it should be open to the public. So maybe the legislature, when they reconvene on January the 10th, maybe they should consider a law saying that all meetings involving the school board chair and superintendent should be open to the public. Anyway, that's my thoughts. So that kind of gets you caught up on what's been going on. The commission meets on the they meet on the 18th. They meet on the 19th of December. They've moved their meetings up a week. They do that in November and December because of the holidays. So they had their workshop on the 12th. Wasn't a lot of controversy there. I've got to go back and watch it because I had attended the West Knox Republican Club Christmas party on December the 12th. And so I was not able to watch it all. I do need to go back and watch it because I understand that Larson J. took an attack. At-large Commissioner Seat 10 took an attack at Gina Oster, who has a resolution about mandatory military vaccines, which, by the way, Marsha Blackburn's bill passed that will keep military members from being mandated to be vaccinated. And so apparently Seat 10 Commissioner took a tack saying it was purely political. And he and the former commission chair, Richie Beeler, who happens to be the chief deputy for the county clerk, are the only 2 commissioners who have not co-sponsored this particular resolution. So again, it looks like Seat 10 and chief deputy to county clerk Sherry Witt and commissioner from the 8th district, Beeler, may be the only no votes, unless people have co-sponsored a resolution that they don't intend to vote for. That's possible. So other than that, I'm not sure there's a whole lot else that's really different out there. Anyway, that kind of gets you caught up on some of what might be considered controversial in the month of December in Knox County. And we'll be back again soon. I'd like to try to get on here before Christmas and do another episode, and then sometime after Christmas we'll get into a more regular routine. But thank you for checking out the Brian Hornback Experience, episode 115, and be sure and check out brianhornback.com on a regular and consistent basis, and we'll see you all on the next one. Thanks.